Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we have another natural language processing project, plagiarism detector. So first we need to understand what is plagiarism. Then I'll show a couple of outputs because we have also created this user interface. तो अगर आप देखा जाए plagiarism is some kind of act in which you use someone else's work or someone else's ideas or intellectual property without proper attribution or permission. सो किसी और की मेहनत को चोरी करने को हम प्लेजरिज्म कहते हैं, और ये हमारा जो मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल एनएलपी में हमने इम्प्लीमेंट किया है ये हमें ये बताएगा कि ये जो टेक्स्ट है ये प्लेजराइज्ड है या नहीं. सो वी हैव दिस यूज़र इनपुट. Okay, researchers have discovered a new species of butterfly in the Amazon rainforest. Now definitely I have copied this from someone else's article, so yes, this could be a plagiarism. Now let's see what the model say. So the moment I click on this button, it will give me the output, plagiarism detected. Let me try one more input. I have another input like practicing yoga enhances physical flexibility. So clearly you can see that it could not be a plagiarized text because it could be someone else's idea or creativity. So let's see. No plagiarism detected. So yeah, this is the model. Now let's start the project from scratch. सो सबसे पहले हम यहाँ पे कुछ लाइब्रेरीज़ को इंपोर्ट करते हैं क्विकली. सो लेट्स डू दैट क्विकली. फर्स्ट वी नीड NLTK लाइब्रेरी विच इज़ यूज फॉर natural language processing task, and within NLTK we have couple of algorithms pre-trained. NLTK.download, you need to download it directly in your Jupyter notebook which is popular, and after that you need to import pandas for loading the dataset as PD. You also need to import string module in Python. It will help us in cleaning the text because we are dealing with textual data and it's a NLP project. And from NLTK corpus we need to import stop words because we have to remove stop words, irrelevant words. So from NLTK.corpus it should suggest me, but it's not suggesting me. You need to import stop words. Again it's not suggesting me. Let me type it manually. Once you do that, you also need to load the first basically for this project we will use 5 machine learning classifier, यानी जिसमें आपके पास logistic regression, random forest classifier. Let me quickly first import from sklearn.linear model logistic regression. अब हर मॉडल से पहले हमने डेटा को ट्रेंड स्प्लिट करना होगा. सो वी नीड टू इंपोर्ट फ्रॉम sklearn.model selection. You have to import trend split class. It will help us in splitting the data set into different sets like testing and training. Now once you train the model, you need to evaluate that model by using couple of matrices. So you need to import from sklearn.matrices. You need to import first, we need to import accuracy score. It will help us calculate the accuracy, and then we need a classification report. It will help us calculating precision recall F1 score for each class. So we have two classes, plagiarized and not plagiarized. So basically it's a binary classification problem. And we also need confusion matrix so that we check how many mistakes our model is doing for each class, or how many correctly classify the classes. And the final thing which is very important for any NLP project, that is feature extraction. So for feature extraction we use different tools, but we will use TF-ID vectorizer as I mostly recommend you for any NLP project. So from sklearn.feature extraction class.text you need to import TF-ID vectorizer. Okay, I'll explain all the stuffs a bit later, but yes, these are the imports. Okay, so let's run it. There is a syntax issue. from nltk.corpus import stoppers. Just basically there should be from. Okay, so let me rerun. So yeah, now we need to import the data set. So I'll give it a name data, then I'll use pandas library read csv function, and I'll pass my data. And let me show you the first few cells. So this is the data set. Now you need to understand the structure and format of this data set. So you can clearly see in this data set we have three columns: source text, plagiarized text, and we have label. So source text and plagiarized text contains the document of textual data. So these are our input features, and label contain two classes, 0 and 1. Here 1 represent plagiarized text and 0 represent not plagiarized text. So let me quickly show you the distribution of label feature. अब जब भी आप distribution check करते हो, you need to use this function counts, value counts. So you can clearly see we have equal distribution, so we don't need to balance this data set. One thing more which is important for you and for everyone to use this project, this data set is created by me, so there might be mistakes, and this is a very lower data set, because let me show you the shape. It's not a big data, it's I think 370 records only. So if you want to use a very detailed plagiarism system, you need to increase this data set. You can further work on this data set. I'll share with you the data and the entire Jupyter notebook code and the development वाला part. आप इसको further extend कर सकते हो और इस पे आप काम कर सकते हो. So the next thing that is very important in any NLP project, जब आप नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग में डील करते हो तो वो आपके पास जो इनपुट फीचर होता है वो टेक्सचुअल होता है. नाउ इन दिस टेक्सचुअल डाटा यू नीड टू रिमूव कपल ऑफ थिंग्स. सो लेट्स डू दैट वन बाय वन. फॉर दैट यू कैन यूज डिफरेंट टेक्निक्स और टूल्स, बट let's do it with our custom Python function. So let me give it a name by the name of preprocess text. This function will take a text. So here let me pass a parameter by the name of text. Now first we will remove punctuation, because punctuation are the characters or terms that we don't need for any model. So we will remove from each text all the punctuation. So you have string library. So on the text, but first let me call this function preprocess text, and let me pass my text. This is my, let me add some punctuation or special character, something like this, my text to use for dummy test. Now the first thing I would like to do is to remove the punctuation. So text will be equal to text.translate function. Here you can use translate function, and first we have to call str parameter in this translate function, and we have to make translation. So here you have to call on this str another function. Now you don't need to worry about all this stuff, you don't need to remember all this stuff, but yeah, this is the flow. And now see first what we have done on the text that this function is getting. इसके ऊपर आपने ट्रांसलेट फंक्शन को कॉल किया. सबसे पहले ये इसको एक्सप्लोर करेगा दिस इंटायर टेक्स्ट को. अब इस टेक्स्ट पर हमने अप्लाई क्या करना है, ट्रांसलेशन को. तो यहाँ पे आप यूज़ करते हो मेक ट्रांसलेंस फंक्शन. ओके, और यहाँ पे मैंने कहा कि आप उसको इस एम्प्टी स्ट्रिंग के साथ रिप्लेस करो. किस चीज़ को? सो थर्ड पैरामीटर आप यहाँ पे बताते हो पंक्चुएशन को रिमूव करना, और वो आप किसके थ्रू कर सकते हो, स्ट्रिंग मॉड्यूल आपको पंक्चुएशन की लिस्ट दे सकता है. सो अगर मैं यहाँ पे पंक्चुएशन को कॉल करूँ देन यू वुड सी दिस. So for now just let me return this text and let's see. You can clearly see we remove these punctuation marks from the text. Second step, let's lowercase the text. As you can see here in this text we have capital, यहाँ पे T आपका capital में है. So the next step, we have to convert to lower case. So lower casing is very simple. You can just call lower function on text. Now you can see here T is smaller. And the third and final step, which is again important, removing stop words. You can skip this part, you can also skip this part, but you are not able to skip this third step for any NLP project, because in English language we have a lot of stop words in a sentence. Stop words like is, from, my, this, like pronouns, and preposition in English grammar. So preposition, pronouns, all these words are stop words. You need to remove them. So remove stop words. Now for stop words removing, we already imported from nltk.corpus stop words class. So you can call this stop words, and there you can call words, and there you can specify the language, because internally it's used I think 5 or 6 language like German, French language, English, but I'm dealing with English language, so I'll pass here English here. And I need unique stop words, so you can call on this set function in Python. It will get all the unique stop words like is, from, and I'll store that in a variable by the name of stop words, because I'll use this variable on my data to remove all the stop words from each text. So it's very clear. Now what you can do, you can use a list parameter, or something like you can use loops, but I mostly use loop in a single line. So first I'll extract word from this text, but we need to tokenize this text. So for that you can use split function. Okay, now I will check that if the word is not located in the stop word that I have defined. So basically when this text is passed here, it will remove all the punctuation, then lower casing. Here I am defining my stop words, and here what I am doing, I am running a loop on this text, basically on this. First I am splitting it like this on comma, tokenizing it. Okay, now it will take one by one. First it will take this, and here I am checking that if this word, I mean this, is located in stop words, and this is a stop word, so it is located and it will skip it. It will not pass here. Then it will take this is stop word, then this text. Now text is not a stop word, so it will check that if this text is not in stop word, so it will pass to this word, and I'll store it again in a text, but it will return a list. So I don't want list, I want a string, so I'll join it, this entire, by a string, something like this. So let me run it. Now you can see we have only important words like text, use, dummy, text. Okay, all the stop words has been removed. Okay, now let's apply this function for our data set. So let me add here a cell. I have two input columns, source text and plagiarized text. So data source text, and I'll call here a apply function, and I'll simply pass my custom Python preprocess. Why it's not working? Okay, it should be preprocess. Let me run it again, and yeah, preprocess text. So I will store the clean text again in the same column, our input feature. So let me copy paste the same for plagiarized text. and let me run it. Now if I show the data set, this is the data set. Now here you can clearly see this is the first record on zero index. Researchers discover new species, and plagiarized text, scientists found previously unknown. But if I check the original text, researchers have discovered. Now here you can see we have a stop word, a stop word, right? But after cleaning that data and removing all the stop words, you can clearly see we don't see that stuffs like the stop words. Researchers previously have, but here you can see we don't have. Researchers discovered new. So now we have important words. Now we know that these two features are input features, so we have to concatenate both these two features, and label is our target column. तो अब यहाँ पे सबसे पहले we have to convert this textual data into numerical format, because any machine learning model can only understand numerical data, not textual data. So here we have to extract the features, and also we have to convert the textual data into numerical format. For that, as I already mentioned, we'll use TF-ID vectorizer. So I'll create an object of this TF-IDF vectorizer, something like that. Then I'll call TF-ID vectorizer. I already imported. Now what I can do, I can simply convert all my text to numerical format by calling this function fit transform. Now here I have to pass both features. So first I can do data source text, and here I will concatenate by space with data my plagiarized text. Okay, and yeah, this is the code. In single line we have converted, and I'll store the result in X. So basically now we have converted all the textual data into numerical format by using TF-ID vectorizer. Now let's create Y, our target, and we know that it's a label. Now we have input feature and we have target feature. We only need to do trend test split. So for trend test split we already have a function by the name of, but first let me create 4 variable: xtrend, xtest, ytrend, ytest, and I'll use here trend test split function, and I'll pass my input feature and target feature. Now here we have to specify the test size. I want to store only 20% data for test and remaining 80% data for training sets, and I want shuffling, so here you can pass random stat. Mostly I use 42, you can use any number, it doesn't matter. Now you have also trend test split. Now let's train our first model, logistic regression. So logistic regression we already imported, I think, so we need to do just create an object for logistic regression like this. Now we have to train logistic regression by using fit method, और इसके अंदर आप अपना ट्रेंड सेट एंड टेस्ट सेट पास कर सकते हो, sorry, trend set from input feature as well as corresponding target feature. Now let's test the model, but for that we need to do some prediction for test data. These things are very basics. You have learned a lot in my projects because I've done a lot of projects in this channel, so I'm not going to repeat all this stuff again. But yes, here we are training the model and here we are doing some prediction or testing. So you can call predict method here, and you can pass your input feature test data. Now let's calculate accuracy. So print accuracy of the model will be, we already imported accuracy method. Here you can pass two things, your y test and y pred. So here basically we are going comparison. जो आपके पास टेस्ट डेटा है जो मॉडल ने नहीं देखा है वाई टेस्ट का, और जो मॉडल ने प्रेडिक्ट किया है, आप उनकी कंपैरिजन करते हो, और मैं यही चीज़ कॉपी करके पेस्ट करता हूँ। मैंने साथ ही साथ कन्फ्यूजन सॉरी क्लासिफिकेशन रिपोर्ट भी यहाँ पे कैलकुलेट करनी है। अगर आपको इन चीज़ों के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है तो आई हैव अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल प्लेलिस्ट and very knowledgeable playlist scikit-learn tutorial. You can watch that. You will understand a lot about all the stuffs that we use in any machine learning project using scikit-learn. And finally I'll calculate confusion matrix. So this is confusion matrix and let me run it. Now the model is giving 82 accuracy, which is good, honestly, which is good. This is the classification report. Now let me give you a quick overview, otherwise I have explained a lot of detail about this stuff, the mathematics behind each method like precision, recall, F1 score in my scikit-learn playlist. You can view it in my this channel artificial intelligence. So we have two classes, 0 not plagiarized, 1 plagiarized. For 0 the precision is 79, which is good. 86 is the recall, 87 is the F score. So for now just the moment you get higher values, higher precision, recall and F1 score, it's mean for this class your model is doing quite amazing. And the same thing goes with another class. If you have higher values like 90 or like this one 86, it's mean your model is doing great job. This is the average accuracy, and you can also calculate average precision 83 for both classes, and the same thing goes for recall, F1 score. Now confusion matrix is very important. Let me zoom out a bit so you can clearly see the output. Let me rerun. I think I have to zoom out again. Now let me rerun again. It's again giving, but yeah, it's okay. Let me zoom in. I just wanted to show you a proper output so that you can understand confusion matrix. Now in confusion matrix we have 2 by 2 D array because we have two classes. So this is this is the character class, correct prediction for one class. Let's say here we have a 0, and this is the correct classes for another class. Let's say we have a 1, but diagonally up and diagonally down like 5 is the mistakes of our model, and at here is the mistakes for another class for our model. I can't explain clearly here. If I plot it, then you will better understand, but I'm not going to do that because I've already explained the mathematics behind this, the theoretical part. But yeah, this is the general overview. If you want to just understand, you can view the diagonal part. If the diagonal part has larger value, it means your model is doing a great job. But diagonal up and diagonal down, if you see some zeros, again, if let's say here is a 0 and here is a 0, it's mean that your model didn't misclassified any class. So it's mean that your model didn't perform any mistakes. But here you can see we have at, so here model done some kind of mistakes, and here again 5. Okay, now let me copy paste this code because now we are applying the same method for random forest. So let's apply random forest. For random forest I'll use from sklearn. You can ensemble method, sklearn dot ensemble. You can import random forest classifier. And now let me paste the same code. Here I'll simply repeat modify random forest classifier. Now one thing, a random forest take couple of parameter like an estimator, so you have to pass that estimator. I want 100, and it's also take random state. Again I'm going to give it 42. Now other method is same, बाकी चीजें आप as it is रखें, just run the cell. So random forest model accuracy is 79. Yeah, it's good, I think. Again, this model is performing a little bit better, but logistic was better than this model. Let's try naive Bayes, because whenever you deal in classification problem and you are using machine learning model, then there you have two models, support vector machine and naive Bayes for textual data. So they will perform better in comparison to the other model because they are specially made for textual data. Okay, so let me paste the same code and we need to import nav base. So importing nav base, you need again scikit-learn, and you have to import it from nav base class multinomial nb. Okay, multinomial nav base. You might be thinking why I'm not going to explain this model. So I already explained, you can explore in this channel, but this model is performing better than the previous two model. Where is you can see the accuracy is 86 and precision recall f1 score for both classes are amazing. So this model is good, but let's try support vector machine. So you have to import it from sklearn dot svm. You have to import svc, meaning support vector classifier, and then oops, let me copy the previous code, this part only, Control C, and let me paste here. This should be SVC. Now SVC has two types, linear and non-linear, and we are dealing with linearity because we are drawing a linear line between two classes 0 and 1, plagiarized, not plagiarized. So here you have to pause that parameter because it's used internally two parameters, and two types of linear support vector classifiers. So here you have to specify kernel, and since we are dealing with linearity, so I'll use linear, and again you have to pass random stat 42. Let me run it. So this model is performing better than all the previous model because we are achieving 87. So finally we have to select this model for deployment, for production. So let's save this model. Saving model is very important because I'm not going to train again and again all the previous code. We have to save this model and the vectorizer for production, for new input. So for that you use pickle library, and in pickle you use dump method, and here you have to pass two things. First, the model you are going to save. Second, open parameter, where you have to give again two things. Name it the model, we have model, and here you have to give the extension pkl, and binary mode. So we are going to save, here you have to use wb. wb means write binary mode, and you have to do the same thing for vectorizer. You might be thinking why we need vectorizer, because user will not put numerical data. User will put, as I already shown you in the introductory part of this video, in website, in the user interface, where user was putting some kind of textual data. So there we also need the train vectorizer, I mean the TF-ID vectorizer, and you also need to save this one by this name. Now I'm not going to run this because previously I already saved this too. Here you can see model.pkl and TF-ID vectorizer.pkl. Now we need to load these two things. Why we need to load these two things, I mean the model and TF-ID vectorizer that we have saved, क्योंकि हमने अब इनको यूज करना होगा. We need to use them. So for saving you can use this code, again pickle, but this time instead of dump you have to use load method, and here you have to pass open, specify the name of the model, and this time you have to give rb, read binary mode, because this time we are reading, not saving. And the same thing goes for TF. So finally I have a model and TF-ID vectorizer which are loaded. I think I didn't run the previous cell, so let me copy this pickle and let me paste it here. So now we have loaded model. Now the final thing in this Jupyter notebook is to create a function or detection system. Then we will work on the deployment part. So I will create here a function that will take user input text. In this function I'll do two things. First I'll vectorizer the text, then we'll do prediction by model, and then return final output. So this is the user input. Researchers have discovered a new species of butterfly in Amazon rainforest, and I have called the function detect and I have passed input text. So this function will get this input text here. So let's vectorize it. So we already loaded trend TF-ID vectorizer, and here this time we don't need to call fit transform. We are not going to train, we are just doing some transformation. So here you have to use transform method, and you have to pass in list. Keep in mind, here you have to pass in list user input text, right? And finally we will have this vectorized text. Now let's do prediction and store the result in result variable. So model.predict method, and here just passed the vectorized text. I hope you get the flow and logic of this function. And finally return result, but it will return either 0 or 1 as per the prediction, but I will use here a logic. The logic could be again in single line. So I will write here plagiarism detected when if the result is equal to 1. When the model predict for this text, this vectorized text, it will give you either 0 or 1 at a time. So here if the result, you don't confuse with this 0. This 0 is just for removing the list, because the 0 or 1 that's returned by this model will be in a list form. So I'm removing them from list. So if it is equal to 1, then the model will return that plagiarism detected. Else, so if it is not 1, so it's mean that it is 0, and for 0 we have no plagiarism. I hope you get the idea. Let me run this. Invalid syntax. Okay, we don't need to here a colon. And now let me run this. So you can see plagiarism detected because it was a plagiarized text. I have another text as I already shown. I think I didn't show you. It has no plagiarism. Playing musical instruments enhances creativity. You can clearly see anyone can write this thing, can use his or her own idea or text. So let's see. Again, I have passed this input text to the function. No plagiarism. This is practicing yoga. I have already shown, and again here we do not have any plagiarism. So that was the Jupyter notebook code. I hope you get everything from scratch. Now we need to work on the simple user interface using Flask framework in Python and the backend code. But always for any project, some students say that we are facing some unmatching issues in PyCharm in the deployment part. वो इसलिए क्योंकि जो मॉडल आपने ट्रेन किया है उसमें जो scikit-learn का वर्जन है वो डिफरेंट है, और जो वर्जन यहाँ पे आप PyCharm में यूज़ करते हो वो डिफरेंट होता है. So you need to install the same version of scikit-learn in PyCharm environment where you use in the Jupyter notebook, because you train the model and TF-ID vectorizer with this version. So you have to exactly install that version here. Now, so we have opened PyCharm. Now here few things important for all the student that mostly get errors related to installation or something. First you need to create virtual environment, and I hope you have learned how to create virtual environment while open PyCharm or any IDE like VS Code for Python. Now in this folder, I have this folder. In this folder you must have model.pkl file that we already saved there in Jupyter notebook, and TF-ID vectorizer.pkl. You must have these two files. You don't need to this Jupyter notebook or dataset. You can keep it, no worries, but you can remove it. But these two files are must. Then you have to create app.py file, which is empty. You can see it is empty. In this we will create the Flask framework code, backend code. Now Flask or Django need templates for user interface for HTML files. So here you have to create templates directory or folder with the same spelling without any mistake. Templates. Some students just create template, but you have to add plural as well, es. And within this template you need to create index.html. Currently it's empty. So first we will create the user interface. Now this is the basic syntax of any HTML file. This is the title plagiarism detector. Now in body, for now I'll just use h1 tag, and here I will say I think you are just watching this video and not liking and subscribing this channel yet. We will print this thing on our website. So let's do that from backend using Flask framework. Now again you need to go to your terminal, okay, because you need to install couple of things. Now here you can see I'm here and my environment is already created here, and here you have to pip install Flask. You need to install Flask. I already installed, so I'm not going to install. Just enter and it will be installed. After that you need to install scikit learn equal to the version you have used in Jupyter Notebook while training the model. So I have used 1.3.2 version, so you use the same version here as well, and once you do that you will not get any mismatch error. Now first we need to import couple of things from Flask framework. First you need to import capital F wala Flask, which will help us to create an object. Then you need to import render template, which will help us to communicate with user interface, HTML files, or redirect. It will work something like communication. Okay, I'll show a bit later. And also request, because we have to request to the form for taking the user input. Now here you have to create app object. Now this is built-in syntax. You will not be able to change it. Now you have to call this app in Python main function, and if you are a Python programmer you might have seen if name equal to underscore man. This is the Python main, and here you have to run the app by specifying debugger will be true. So this is the basic syntax. You will never be able to change it. Now between app and between Python main you have to implement all the logic, the roots, getting data from user interface and passing data to the user interface to be displayed. So between this part we will do the logic. First we need to load the two things. I have to import pickle library as well. Now first I will load with the help of pickle load function. I'll pass open, and here the model with read binary mode. Okay, let me check the recording quickly, and I'll do the same for vectorizer. So let me replicate this line with by pressing Ctrl and D, and here vectorizer .pkl. Let me copy this and give me a proper name. So I have successfully imported loaded model and TF-ID vectorizer. मेरे जितने भी हिंदी एंड उर्दू व्यूवर्स होंगे वो सोच रहे होंगे कि आज मैं इंग्लिश में बात क्यों कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ये जो प्रोजेक्ट है ये एक बहुत ही रिसर्च बेस एंड PhD लेवल पे या FIP में यूज़ होता है। तो बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ने रिक्वेस्ट किया था जो कि इंग्लिश स्पीकर्स थे. दैट्स वाई आई एम यूज कॉम्बिनेशन बोथ. Okay, so we have loaded this to a model and TF-ID vectorizer. Now let's communicate with the index.html file. I'm in the user interface. So for that you use root. Okay, and in root, the first root I'll just pass empty, because by default I want to open directly the index.html file when I run this app. So here you have to give a function by any name, and with the help of return and render template you can go to that file, HTML file. As I already mentioned, that render template is used for communication between backend and frontend. So let me right click and run app. Now in console you will get a URL. Just click on this URL and your app will be pop up in your Chrome browser. You can clearly see I zoomed it a lot, so let me zoom out. I think you are just watching this video and liking and subscribing this channel yet. I should write here, let me change it. Basically this message for all the user who are watching this video. I think you are just watching this video and not liking and subscribing this channel. So yeah, in this way you create user interface and communication. But we will not displaying this thing. What we can do, I will here use container. So div, I will give a class container, because I will also apply my CSS for making it attractive and appealing. And within this container I will use h1 tag by title plagiarism detector. So if I go to my page and reload it, now we have plagiarism detector. After that I will use a form. Action will be detect. This part again important for web development, I'll explain a bit later. And method will be post. And within the form I will pass text area where user will input text. But this text area takes couple of things like name. Name will be text. Again this part important, but I will explain a bit later. Placeholder when you want to show something before so that user can understand it. Enter text here, dot dot dot, and one last attribute that is required mean important. So in form we have passed two things, action and method. In action we have passed URL or path detect, because with the help of this action in backend, when we will implement the code for backend, you will get and understand this thing. So here specifying action just for getting the form there in backend. And we have two methods, get and post, for sending and receiving data between backend and front end. So here we are passing post, and this is the just getting input for user. So let me refresh. Now this is the our text area. Here we pass name text, because when user input here text, I will get the text in backend, I mean in app.py, with the help of this name. Now within the same form we need to pass a button. So button, I would like to pass the type will be submit, and title will be check for plagiarism. Let me quickly show you. So we have this button, but this page is not designed, this page is not appealing, this page is not attractive. We have to make it attractive and appealing. Now for that, either you can use bootstrap and bootstrap classes, or you can use your own CSS, like inline CSS you can call it. Now on this container and this entire body I'll do couple of styling. So here in style you can do that by just calling the classes. So I have done this CSS already. Let me quickly explain it. Within the style on the entire body of my page I have kept this properties and attributes. Okay, now like यहाँ पे हमने background color ये set किया है, display will be flex, a lot of properties and their corresponding values. And we have done some kind of CSS for container. I want the width 50%, background will be this, padding. So these are some attributes, and also added box shadow. Now just let me quickly reload. Now we have something like attractive. Okay, so you can clearly see these are the box shadow. Now we have to work on this text area and this button. Okay, so I have already done the CSS. Just let me paste it here. So this is the CSS for the button and text area and result. This is the button and this is the text area. You can clearly see. I didn't implemented result yet, but we will see it a bit later. So just let me refresh. So yeah, this is the form. Now when we click on this check for plagiarism, there will display the result. So but for now we need to get this text in app.py. So in app.py I will create another root. So app.root, and here we have detect in form, and here you have to give methods will be equal to either get or just post, let's say. And here you have to define a function, let's say predict, and within this prediction function we will do something, or we can give it a proper name to this function like detect plagiarism. Okay, now the first thing we have to do, what should I first do? First we have to get the data from the form. So it's very simple. We have a request method from Flask, and here you can call form, and here you can pass the name of that input field. So that was text, so it will get the text, and we will store it input text. Got it? And secondly, now we have to apply the two steps, like vectorized tfid vectorized dot transform this input text, and I will give it a name vectorized text. And finally let's do prediction. So we have a model dot predict this vectorized text, and finally we will update this result with this message like plagiarism detected if a result equal to 1, else no plagiarism. Right, and finally we will send this result to our index.html to be displayed there. So you can use a render template and go to index.html, and there result will be equal to result. Now let me explain the flow. So in this function, in this root, first we are getting the root, the form, then we are creating this function, and within this function first we are getting from this text where user input the text, we are getting that text and storing in input text. Then we are doing vectorization, prediction, creating the message as per the result, either 0 or 1, and then we are passing that message. So either we will this or we will this in this result finally. So finally we have to print this result on index.html. So outside the form I will use this template when you implement Python code in HTML, then you can use this template. So if result, first I'll check कि मैंने result यहाँ पे get किया है, that we have get the result or not. Then for now I'll just print with this syntax result. Again, this syntax is built in, you cannot change. And finally I will end the if. So this is the syntax, sometimes we call it Jinja template, and this is the printing. Like in Python we do print, but if you print variable in index using Python or Flask or Django, sorry, not Django, there is a difference between Django and Jinja template. So yeah, this is the template. Now I have to run this again because I have made a lot of changes. So just click on the URL and hello friend. For now this is something, no plagiarism, so it's working. And let's make this output a little bit attractive. So I can go to index.html and I'll use this code because I've already result class where I've done some CSS, you can say it, like padding, margin top. Now let's refresh. Yeah, and let me use this text, I mean this one. So the model is working quite amazingly because it has great result, so no plagiarism. Let me try from my data. What was the name? This was the data. Let me just use source text. Let's go to source text and let's use this one on this index. First I'll get this text. Now volunteering fosters community spirit. I don't know what it's saying. Let's see, but what the model is saying. No plagiarism. Let's try one more. Let me take random text on 50 index. I don't know what. Honeybees communicate series dance movement. I think this could be or not, but let's see what the model is saying. This is plagiarized. Let me try one more on 90 index. Sahara Desert, largest hot desert world. Let's see what the model say. Plagiarism detected, because this could be someone else's idea, someone else hard working, someone else article text. So yeah, this is the project. And finally, one thing, your support in the form of likes, comments and subscription to this channel would be really appreciated. So thank you so much for watching this video. I have shared this entire code with you. This is the Jupyter Notebook code, f.py code, dataset, index.html, model.pkl and tfid vectorizer.pkl. If you want to use model.pkl tfid vectorizer, I mean my one, then in PyCharm you have to create virtual environment and there you have to install the same version of scikit-learn, like 1.3.2. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see in upcoming another amazing NLP project. Thank you, and finally again, subscribe to this channel and like this video.